When I think of fall, I think of cooler temperatures, leaves starting to change color, and planting my bulbs. There's nothing like having spring bulbs popping up as soon as the snow melts in March and April, and enjoying those, through the cooler spring months when there's really not much flowering and not much color going on outside except for the grass starting to green up. So tulips, daffodils, hyacinths, now's the time to get outside and get those planted. The bulbs that we bring in are all from Holland. They're larger bulbs. They produce larger flowers, so the size of the bulb is directly proportional to the size of the flower. So the larger the bulb you can get, the better your flowers are going to be the next year. And when it comes to tulips and daffodils, they just multiply and keep coming back. So bulbs are really an investment that you buy, you plant one year, and then they just keep coming back for many, many years afterwards. And in fact, they multiply and they increase in quantity. So some of the nicer, bigger bulbs, this variety is called Diana. It's a really pretty white, large tulip. But you look at the size of the bulbs. You can see in my hand right there how large those bulbs are. It almost fills my palm up. The larger the bulb, the larger the flowers you're going to have next spring. And so we try and bring in the biggest bulbs that we can possibly find. And we have about 70 different kinds of tulips to choose from, about 25 different kinds of daffodils, and lots and lots of different bulbs to plant. And you can just beautify and enhance your yard by doing a little bit of work in the fall. And bulbs are about as easy as it gets. I'm going to show you in just a minute how easy it is to plant the bulbs, because it just doesn't get any easier than putting your bulbs in the fall, watering them in well, and watching the show just take off next spring. So the bulbs will produce very nicely for you. Even if you think that you don't have a green thumb, bulbs are about the easiest plant to be successful with out in the garden, and it's one you can really, really enjoy all through the springtime. So easy to do, and let's head outside and we'll do a little bit of planting. Planting the garlic is about as easy as it gets. So all we have to do is have a place to plant, and here's our makeshift garden bed right here. The garlic bulbs, once you break those apart, so I've got those little cloves right there. We're going to take those individual cloves that I've broken off the full-size bulb, and we're going to plant those. And they usually go about 2 to 3 inches deep, and so we can dig our holes with a trowel. We can dig our holes even with a bulb planter, which is really easy. You can just push that bulb planter right down into the soil and leave about a 2 or 3 inch hole, and then the soil's trapped inside the bulb planter. And then when we put our cloves down on the bottom, again, like I said, about 2 to 3 inches deep, and make sure the pointy side is up. That's kind of important that the pointy side is up. There's a root side and a pointy side. We'll just put those down in the bottom. Usually I'll put a little bit of fertilizer down in there, like a little bit of Dutch bulb food or a little bone meal. Try and put that down on the bottom of the hole, work it into the bottom of the hole, and we can do that. About a tablespoon per bulb is what we're going to use, so we don't have to use too much. A teaspoon to a tablespoon is about right. That's about a tablespoon right there. I'll sprinkle that down on the bottom of the hole, kind of work that into the bottom of the hole, put your bulb right in, and then the nice thing about the bulb planters is it'll drop the soil right back on top of the bulb, and we can cover that up, and that's it. You just push that soil down and around it. I'll try and plant the garlics about every 3 to 4 inches apart, and so we can dig another hole right next to it and put another clove right in there. But again, 2 to 3 inches deep, about 3 to 4 inches apart. Put the cloves down the bottom after you put your fertilizer down in, pointy side up, put those in, cover it up, water them. It's essential that you get your bulbs watered after you get them planted so that the soil stays moist, and continue watering them at least every other week until the ground freezes in the fall. That way they'll have plenty of moisture through the winter time, and they'll do great. So next year they'll start to grow up first thing in the spring. They'll get about this tall. You can be able to harvest them in July, and it's a lot of fun to grow the garlic. They produce really well and very, very easy to do.